participants for joining this webinar. Today is routing switching second day, and our instructor is Professor Dr. Samsudjaman Shobus sir. He will conduct today's session. If you have any query or any questions, then please put your question on question answer box or chat box, and hope you will enjoy this session. Our sir will start this session. Thank you, sir. You can start, and I think we will later see the question answer session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Urpita Haladar, and thanks all of you to join this session. Today, course 04, routing and switching, day 2. Urpita Haladar has already discussed about switching basics. So now today we'll discuss about the basics of routing, and also there is another course, dynamic routing. You in course 7. So we'll now basically the basics of routing, router, and some other issue. Okay, let's go to our content today. So this is the day 2 content, basically router basics, then routing basics, then I will show you a basic router configuration packet tracer, and then routing types. Then I will discuss about the static routing, and also some basic about the static routing. Then I will show you how to configure a static router in packet tracer. Then a brief discussion about dynamic routing. Then dynamic routing basic, and also I will show you a RIP protocol from the dynamic routing part, and details you will know the course 7. So this is my course content today. Okay, so if you have any question or any issue, if you don't understand anything, you can just put in question answer box, or ma'am Urpita Haladar will knock you if you don't understand any issue or anything related to slide or any configuration. So firstly, routing basics. Why do we need routing? So why basically need routing or router? Why? Actually, if you when you try to browse, suppose our university website csc.ps.ac.bd, so within in a browser, through any Mozilla Firefox or any browser, so within a few seconds or mere seconds, you will see our faculty homepage. So how is it possible? Because this PC basically located in far distance from PS2 campus. Can you see my screen? Actually, if I have used a trace_rt command. So our domain name is csc.ps.ac.bd. So when I trace_rt this domain, then you can see the first hop to 13 hop. This is called basically hop. I will discuss later. This you can see the first IP address. Basically, this is my home IP. That means this is my router gateway, home router gateway. Then I have connected in Borishal from a ISP provider. This is the ISP provider IP. So after that, this 13 IP, 13 hop, I just find our server computer, that means venus.mydchub.com. That IP is this one. So last 144, this is a global IP or real IP, but 190.168.20.1, this is a private IP. This is my home IP. So can you understand this all performance, these all things are basically connected through a router, and these are trace_rt command basically connected to 30 hosts. I think you all understand this. That's why we need a router. Okay, so here you can see a simple routing simple network. Basically home office, two router is connected within three. One is home router, another is just a generic type router, and they are connected with others LAN. Basically, this is the a complete network, and both LAN and WAN is here. So how this communication basically happened? So there are many devices is connected. uh, although there are many devices and technology collaboratively working together to enable this, the primary device is the basically router. So I just received the csc.ph.ac.bd. You can see there are 13 hope. So all others kinds of networking device also related, but basic task is basically related to router. Basically, routing is the primary device for this communication. So a router, basically, what are the function of this router? Basically, router function is to connect one network to an other network. So you can see one network to another network. This is one kind of function. Another function is that determines the base route to the destination before forwarding traffic to the next router along with the path, and responsible for routing traffic between network, and routing table used to determine the most efficient path to the path to reach the destination. So router
Sorry,
do
sir,
this
I
function.
interrupting you.
Yes.
You may go for presentation mode from your Microsoft. Yeah,
Is it clear now?
that's okay. Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this is the basically routing function. This router function basically to connect all devices and required sources to the user. So basically, all the router basically responsible for the routing of traffic between networks. So this is basically we can see this is the one kind of topology. The router interconnects the networks at the defined sites, different kinds of LAN and WAN. Okay, so when a router when a router suppose R1 or R2, any router receives a packet, when a packet from any host arrives on a router interface like this one, from this host, a router receives a packet uh, on a router interface. The router uses basically this router uses its routing table routing to determine how to reach the destination network. Basically, the destination of the IP packet might be a web server or any kind of server or an email server on the LAN. So it's the main responsibility of routers to deliver these packets efficiently, and the effectiveness of internet communication depends basically to large degree on the ability of routers to forward packets in the most efficient way possible. So that's why we need the routing or router. So here another issue. So now we understand that why need basically the routing, but who is doing this routing? Basically, router is doing this routing. So router basically one kind of computer, because any computing device, I mean network capable devices, uh, computer, tablet, or smartphone nowadays require the following components to operate as shown. Basically, the CPU, operating system, and different kinds of memory and storage. So router has all these things. Basically, a router is a specialized computer and requires the same components to operate as computers, including the CPU, OS, and different kinds of memory. And routers also have our computer desktop has not so many ports, but routers have specialized ports and network interface card to interconnect devices to other networks. Basically, a laptop or desktop has only few ports, but routers have different kinds of ports, different kinds of like LAN interface also have in desktop PC, but console cable, console USB port, serial cable, this type of port are available, SFP or different kinds nowadays. Different kinds of ports are available to connect different kinds of networking devices. Okay, so now what are the router function? We have already get some knowledge, but basis function is to router interconnect networks. This is the basic function. The router interconnect networks. Basically, this is the internet, and this LAN, central branch are all are connected through this router. So router is responsible for forwarding packets from network to router, from the source to the destination. And also multiple networks on network router require multiple interfaces that is belong to a defined IP network. So different kinds of IP interface can belongs to router. And also when a packet arrives on router interface, the router might be the final destination, or it may have to send to another router to reach its final destination. Okay, so okay, So this is the first task, basically router function, router interconnect networks. Then router choose best path. The primary function of a router is to router are to determine the best path to send packets and forward packets toward destination. This is basically the router main function, primary function of a router. Uh, and basically, when a router receives a packet, it examines the destination of destination address of the packet and uses the routing table to look for the best path of that network. Suppose R1 and R2. So if any host is suppose want to access here any other PC, so if this PC or 1.1 this PC want to connect LAN 2, then when router receives any packet from this network, then router try to find this network address from the destination address of this packet. So it's the main thing of a router, and also router use some algorithm router to find out the best path from source to the destination. Okay, so router, this is the router function and also the primary function of a router. And then this is another issue, basically gateway, default gateway. So we already familiar with this. Okay, sorry. And routers here, we can see this router. Suppose router R1 receives a packet encapsulated in an Ethernet frame. After de-encapsulating the packet R1 uses the destination IP address of the packet to search the routing table for a missing network address. So router tries to find the missing network, which network the destination is. Router try to find this address. After a destination network address is found in the routing table, R1 then encapsulates the packet inside a PPP point-to-point protocol frame and forwards the packet to R2. Then forward the packet to R2. Then R2 performs a similar process, and in this way try to find the destination address. Okay. So basically, this is the main function, and this is the primary function of a router. Router choose the best path using different kinds of algorithm and different kinds of also algorithm and others issue. So now another issue, basically default gateway. So it's related to basically router. Default gateway to enable network address. When you want to enable a network address, network access, device must be configured with IP address information to identify the appropriate basically IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. So what do you mean by IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway? I think I have already discussed about the IP address and subnet mask, and just identifies unique host on a local network. This is IP address, and identifies with which network subnet the host can communicate. This is subnet mask. And default gateway basically identify the IP address of the router to send a packet to when the destination is not on the same local local network subnet. That means, suppose here router PC1 want to access this web server. Okay, so PC1 IP address 1.110, and this web server is 1.99. So when PC1 access to this IP address, so firstly the packet is arrived in this network. So this switch try to find this, is it similar or not. That means the find out the local area network or not. So if not, then packet will automatically go to the gateway. That means the router interface, and router try to find this next hop. After that next hop, then finally find this one. But if this PC try to access this 192.168.1.111, that means 111, then it no need to go to the gateway. It's directly this PC can directly access this PC. Okay, so that's why I need a basically the default gateway. Basically, when a host sends a packet to a device that is on the same IP network, the packet is simply forwarded out of the host interface to the destination device. This is simple. If the network is if the destination is same network, then no need to go to the router. But when a host sends a packet to device on different IP network, the packet is forwarded to the default gateway, because a host device cannot communicate directly with the device outside of the local network. The default gateway is the destination that routes traffic from the local network to devices on remote networks. So this one all are remote networks. So it is often used to connect a local network to the internet. So this is the basically default gateway. So we are using when this is the network, I think 192.168.1.10. So this default gateway is the first address of the IP address. That means 192.168.1.1. This is the default gateway, and also the router interface which is connected to this LAN. Okay, so this is the basically default gateway, and default gateway is usually the address of the interface on the router connected to the local network. That means this router is connected to this local router. So this interface is the gateway of this local network of this LAN, and the router maintains routing table entries of all connected network as well as entries of remote networks, and it determines the router then determines the best path to reach those destinations. So that's why we need the default gateway, and in any network block, first address should be the gateway of this network, and also the IP address of the connected router. Okay, basically this is the default gateway. So if you have any question, IP subnet a default gateway from PPOE connection. Okay. So password, okay, PPOE connection. Actually, how can I find IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway? Basically, when you if you are taken any username password, basically PPOE connection need user ID password. So based on your user ID password, basically ISP provider just create a user ID password on basis of IP address and subnet mask. So in their IT center, they have this IP address and also the subnet mask. Okay. So then, so routing basic, this is another issue for within router. I think you have already familiar with this backplane. Different kinds of port, and all this port has router port has different kinds of lead. This is Cisco 1941 light emitting diode. So different kinds of lead has different kinds of function. So any lead which is active or blink, that means color is 1 blink, 2 blink, 3 blink, gigabyte interface, and green, that means link is active, and also console cable, if active then green, and USB is active then green, otherwise port is if off then port is inactive. Here another issue, basically there may be some malfunction. Okay. So okay, so most network interface card basically 1 or 2 lead, green lead and blinking lead, and no light indicates problem. So as usual, but here another issue in Catalyst 2960 switch, if green lead, that indicates is the switch is functioning normally, this green lead, but amber lead or something like that indicate a malfunction. So I think yes, if you are PS2 student, there few days ago there is some issue in defined access point. The sometimes later you can access network, but sometimes after that the lead has amber color or not blink. There may be some issue, and then you could not access the internet. This is basically you can understand that your link is up or on or active or malfunctioning. So you can understand from the router backplane different kinds of LED. So this is another issue, and also routing. A router has some port. There may be some that's called the console access. Basically, console access in networking in a working network environment, infrastructure devices are commonly accessed remotely. Basically, infrastructure devices, networking devices are commonly accessed using different kinds of script like secure shell or hypertext HTTPS or hypertext transfer protocol secure. But console access is really only required when initial configuration a device or if remote access fail. So if you want to configure any devices, you can use any remote connection. But if the devices is you need to a new if you buy a new devices, then you need to configure it through the console cable, or if the remote access is failed, then you need to use this console access. Basically, uh, console access requires basically there are some few types of console access. The port and computer, basically serial port and cable required console cable, and there may be console RJ45 console port. Also, you can use for accessing this by using this cable. You need different kinds of emulation software like Teraterm or PuTTY. Then you can access the router. If the network is if the devices has any problem or you need to configure it initially, then you need to use this type of ports and cables, and also you need to use the emulation software basically for initial configuration or if the devices is failed. So this is also the some basic about the router configuration. So now I just give a brief about the how to configure a router, or how to configure the router basic configure basically configure basic router settings. So I will show you the practically. So basically already discussed about the Urpita madam that Cisco routers and switch have similar initial configuration step. Basically, you need to change your you need to go to the command line interface, then you need to enable, or then you need to configure terminal, then you need to use the different kinds of configuration. So basically, when you go to the so when I open a packet tracer, or suppose I want to show this, this is the sample diagram. This is a small topology where two desktop is connected a router, and also a server is connected with the router. So if you want to configure this router through command line interface, or you can configure it graphical user interface. So there is some mode actually configured. There is some mode. So this is the initial mode. So basically this one user executable mode. Okay, so this one router just this greater than symbol. This is user executable mode. So if you want to configure it, or basically user executable mode is entered by starting a terminal emulation program. So if you start a terminal emulation program or any others, so this mode will come, and the workstation must physically connected and others issue. And after the open the command line interface, this is this router greater than this. If this window will come, then this is called the user execution mode, and the execution mode prompt has the following form. This is the form, basic form. But if you want to go to the privileged executor mode, this is another kind of mode of router. Though you need to enter enable. Okay, so you need to enable the router, then this mode, this this prompt will come, router hash symbol. Basically, this is called the privileged execution mode, and is entered from the execution mode by typing enable. Just enable the user execution mode to privileged executable mode. Basically, a password must be separated to complete the connection. If you are using a password, then you need to press this password here. Since this is the initial configuration, so there is no password. So if you want to configure it, or if you want to go to global configuration mode, you need to type conf. So yes, conf, then you need to type tab, then configure, then tr, then tab. So this is the configure terminal. That means you want to go to now, that means global configuration mode. If this is the global configuration mode where you can configure your overall router setting. Okay, then I go to configure mode. This is basically the router configuration window. And if I want to configure this router, basically this is the empty router. So if I press exit and also show IP route. So you can see what there is no routing or others issue, or there is no connected. Also, there is no connected network. So IP interface, you can see the this gigabyte interface, router interface. You can see show IP interface, gigabyte Ethernet, 00 interface, then here is a 10 interface, and also fast Ethernet 2/0 interface. 3 interface is there. Then you can check which type of routing protocol support. Sorry. So you can see the details about the, if you press router this symbol, you can see the details about the different kinds of command or it's okay. So this is the basic issue. So now I want to configure it. This is the configure, sorry. This is the, so now I want to configure this router for this network. So I have already, you can see this is the one network. This network is basically 192.168.1.0/24, and this is 192.168.0.0/24, and this is another network 103.133.254.0/24. These three, LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3. These three LAN is connected to one router. Okay, and I have also right here the IP address of this PC, also the server PC, also this PC. So now I need to configure the router, also the router interface. So you can see that all LAN, the LAN 1, 2, and 3, all are red color. That means link is down. So there is no connection here. There is a cable connection, but the interface is down. So I need to configure it one by one. Okay. So Orpita, is there any question or any suggestion? So if you have any suggestion, I can go to slow or fast. So if you are familiar with this, so you can give any comments.
Yet, please keep
Okay.
going.
Okay. So I need to go to basically the router, and then the router. This is a user executable. This is the user privileged executable mode. Now I need to go to the configuration mode. That means global configuration mode. Config terminal. So I just press. So okay. So now my first task is to name this router. So I can use host name R1. I just name this router. So you can see this previous name was router. Now it's going to R1. Okay, basically when to use gigabyte 00 or when to use fast Ethernet, basically this is depends on your what type of speed you want to how much how many traffic you want to how many traffic want to access your network, or how much bandwidth you want to transfer from your host to from your LAN to the router. It depends on you. So if you are 100 user, 1000 users or any others, you need to use do the calculation, and you need to use this kind of interface. Okay, so I am using here fast Ethernet and also the gigabyte interface for large network, because there is 256 networks. That means 254 host can connect. There is 254 host can connect, and there is a 254 host can connect. That's why I am taking different way. But you can before network plan, when you are doing network planning, you need to fix it. How many user you want to your internet will access. So that depends basically your user. So this is the configuration window. So you can see the router. Now the router name is R1. Okay, so I just command host name R1. Okay, then I need to give basically the password. I want to if someone access this password, so I want to configure it. If you want to access it, you need to use password to access this R1 router. So I need to enable secret. Then I am using the password Cisco 12345. Okay, this is my router password. you need to remember it. Then I need to configure the console window, console password, line console password. So line console 0. So it has meaning. I will explain you. And password Cisco compass console password. I am using this one. And execution time it 50. This has explanation. And also you need to log in and also use login synchronization and then exit. So if you now want to access this, okay, another one, I want to configure it, then line V2I, another one Cisco V2I password. So I want to again configure another issue. Line V2I 0, sorry, line V2I 04, simultaneous access. Okay, then password Cisco VTY pass. This is my line VTY password, and also then login issue, then login synchronous, then exit. Okay, so I have used several types of issue. So basically line console 0, I have used a line console 0. That means this command is to connect a switch of router through a medium console. That means if I want to access this router from the console, console cable or others issue through PuTTY or TRATAM or other kinds of telnet telnet command. So I will show you how can I access. So in this case, you need to use this password. Okay, so line console 0, that means command is to connect a switch or router through a medium console. And I am also used execution time 50. Basically, this is execution time command, sets a specific time to disconnect idle or execution session. So if you without that means your router is automatically disconnect if idle sometime. That means default time is 10 minutes. But if I assign times, then it's will automatically disconnect it. And another issue is that logging synchronize. I also use this command is basically used to synchronize unsolicited message and debug output with solidated Cisco iOS software output. This is another issue. And I am also using here VTY 04. That means VTY is solely used for inbound connection to the device. That means inbound connection. These connections are all virtual with no hardware associated with them. There is no physical connection. This is all are virtual with no hardware associated with them. And 0 to 4 means that the device can allow 5 simultaneous virtual connection, which may be telnet or SSH secret shell. So that's why I just configured this one. And now okay, so I just use the password. I think the Cisco 1234. So this is my password. This is plain text password. I can encryption this password service password encryption. So I can use the encryption. So I will show you the running configuration. You can check it. So run. Basically, you can see this. The enable secret password already encrypted and hostname R1. So interface not yet not yet configured or others issue. So line console, the execution time 50 and password also given, and also line V2I password. Okay. So now, okay. So I need to use this password now. So so I need to Cisco 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, sorry. Okay, so just con password, then R1 enable.
Sir, student are asking from the login synchronization.
Okay, is asking about the login synchronization. Okay,
Yes,
login
sir.
synchronization command basically used to synchronize unsolicited message and debug output with solicited Cisco iOS software output. When the system login stops working, disabling the logging synchronize command on the console line may cause logging to resume. This is the basic task, logging synchronization. Okay. Now I need to, this is the console password I have given. Now I need to Cisco password. That means Cisco 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now I can access my router. Do you understand or not? Okay. So do you understand or not? If there any confusion about this configuration? So I just use two types of password I have given here, just router password and then encrypted it, and also use Cisco con password. That means line console password. Firstly, you need to go to the line console password. You need to put the line console password and then router password. Okay, is it clear now? Is there any confusion? So if you have now confusion, then now I need
No
to the
problem yet, sir.
confirm terminal again. So I need to configure my interface now. Okay, I have not yet configured. I need to configure the interface now. So how can I configure from the command line interface? So you can go to from here, graphical user interface, you can configure, but we need to learn it from the command prompt. Okay, so I need to check which interface now connected. Gigabyte 1 is connected to this PCA, gigabyte 0 connected to PCB, and first Ethernet is connected to server. Okay, so I just configured. So I need to go to the another mode. Basically, this is interface mode, interface configuration mode. If you want to configure any devices interface, so you need to go to the interface mode. In that case, which interface you need to go? So you need to write, suppose interface 0/0. You can write int 0 z 0/0, or you can write int tab gigabit interface 0/0. So both will accept. Okay, so both will accept. So this is I just go to the you can see the interface. This is interface configuration mode. Now a router is going to interface configuration mode, and I am fixing the configure the gigabyte Ethernet 00. Okay, so for I just put the description, which description this connection will be. Description connection from link A to B, sorry, 00 from PCB to, sorry, R1 router to B, PCB. Okay, so this is the basically the description I can see in my, when I export my routing configuration, I can see. And in that case, I need to configure the IP address. So which IP address basically this interface is belongs to, basically .1. That means 192.68.0.1. So this is the IP, where IP ADD address 192.168.0.1. So this is the gateway. I already discussed about the issue. This is the gateway. So this is the router interface also. So configure this interface IP is 192.68.0.1. Then I need to put the default subnet mask 255.0. So enter, and I need to link up, no shutdown command, just interface need to on, and interface now on, and then I need to go another interface, just write here short gigabyte. Sorry, I need to see the interface name. You need to every time you need to check the interface 10. So I need to check. Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. G 1/0. Okay, so gigabyte 1/0. Then I need to configure it. I can write the description again, or also I just back to my command also. So description here R1 to PCA. So probably the mistake. I want to PCA. This is the description, and also I can change the IP address. So this IP address I just change 192.168.1.1. You can see this router interface gigabyte 101.1. This network first address. So I need to go to this way. You need to press this way 1.1. Okay. Then no shut down, and you can see the light is now on. Okay, can you check it? The light is now, all are now green. So PCB to router now green, and PCA to router now near about green. The blink is this one. And also I need to configure this server to router, that means fast Ethernet. So I need to exit. Now I need to interface fast Ethernet. So FA 2/0. Okay, fast Ethernet 2. So you need to check it. Who is interface now? So fast Ethernet 2/0. So I just using the IP address. So here IP address would be 192.100.03. So I just copy it for. Okay, so I just no description, just IP address. Press this IP 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. Then exit. Okay, so just configuration you can check. The configuration is now all up. Okay, interface now all up. So you can check this one. You can check this one. So configuration now up, all up. So I can also clock set. I can also do the clock set. So now I can check this, is there a connection is okay or not. So for I just take a PDU. So here PC1 to here. So you can check this packet from PC here to router. Is it successful? And from server to router, is it successful? And from router to this one, successful. Oh, sorry, fail. Okay, successful. So first time maybe fail, but you need to try second time. So I need to check this PC to this PC. Is it okay or not? Because it is direct connected, so I need to check again. Okay, so there is a connection between PCA to PCB. You can also ping from PCA to PCB. Okay, so is it clear now? Is there any confusion? Is there any?
So no problem.
Okay, so now I want to show you that how can I access this router from a by using telnet or others issue, just showing from telnet. So you can go to any PC, just PCB, or I can access a remote network like PCA. I just access this router. So this router interface is basically 192.68.1.1. So I just go to the PC desktop, and there is a issue telnet or SSH client. So I want to access the router through telnet. So you need to type the IP address of the router interface 168.1.1. Okay, so you need to press the password. So which password I need to use basically? So line VTY. So Cisco VTY password. Now I need to enable the router. Then I need to give the router password Cisco 1234. So do you understand or not? Okay, so I can just control from this telnet telnet. I can configure my router from here, from any desktop PC. I can configure, or you can configure directly by using the any console cable. Basically, when I click this one, I just go to the console cable. By using the console cable, I just working here. But when you access through a PC, so you need to use any telnet or any emulation software. Okay, do you understand or not? Is there any confusion?
So no question, no confusion maybe.
Okay. So I think hope you will configure this any router by using this process. Okay. So is it clear now? I think I can go to the next. And okay. So another issue, just since I have configured this router, so I want to show from the I can check what type of configuration I have already done. Okay, so in that case, you need to exit from the configure terminal, and then this is the privilege mode. Okay, so show IP route. Okay, so you can see the gateway of last is not yet set, but there is a connected 3 interfaces connected, basically the R1 router, and all are directly connected.
There is a question arrived.
Yes.
Which is difference between SSH and telnet?
Okay, one is SSH, means secure shell. 2 types of difference, basically telnet command and another issue. Okay.
I think it can be answered in question answer session after the
Okay.
lecture session.
Okay, you just collect it. I will answer the later. 428.
Sir, I'm answering this. You please continue.
Okay, okay. So next, so this is the basic configuration. So this is my one of my part of the IP configuration of IP router interface. So we can configure this way a router. So this topology I have already designed and also configured by using command line interface. This is the basic router configuration. We need to configure another type of I think when we 2 or 3 router will connect, then we can configure it. So another issue, just I want to share you. So you can write all of your code in a all of your code in a notepad. Okay, so if you want to promptly configure this if you want to configure any router, so you can note down all like this way. This is the just command prompt enable. You need to start from enable, configure terminal use, then you need to rename your host. So I am just going to this router. This is all configured. So I need to erase all of my configuration. So erase. So command line interface, then I just reload my initial configuration. Yes. Proceed with. Okay, just rebooting the router. And I will configure all commands from the, I just need to write the all command in notepad. Then I can Sorry. Reload. Okay, so just reset my pass router. Okay, so now you can see there is no connection, or there is no all interface is now shut down. Do you understand or not? So see, I have already note down all my command, that means which I have configured in my basic router settings. I have note down all here. Okay, so if I just copy this one and go to your router and this mode, that means this mode is basically user executable mode. So this mode you need to go here and just paste here, right button click, just press here and just enter. So and just again enter. So all configuration is done. Do you understand or not? So do you have any confusion? This is the process. Basically, this is a shortcut process. But you need to for initial stage you need to write all one by one. But I think so for if we want to configure it as soon as possible, then you need to write this all command way. You need to check again and again, is there any confusion or not? Then you need to configure it. Okay, just copy this from the enable window, from the enable to rest of the command. You just copy it and just go to your user executable mode. That means it's already configured user executable mode, and paste it and then enter. Okay, so this is a shortcut way to configure a router. So I will use this one for our next two configuration, basically for a static router configuration and another one for RIP configuration. So I will design another topology and I will use this one. So I have done all this by using these basic router settings and also different kinds of interface. I just enable within a few minutes. Okay, so is there any issue?
Sir, participant actually want the command line.
Okay,
That
command line console. So I will already show you that if you want to directly access the router, so you need a console access. Okay, so I want to give a password for this console access. So for this reason, I just use.
Sir, actually they wants the commands type in the cell or the commands that you are writing.
Okay, so I need to use this one. I'll share my. So you can use this line console 0. Okay, the use of line console 0, basically line console 0, then you used line console 0, that means console access password. Cisco console access password is the console password. So when I want to access, so you can see this my window. So I need to give here the console password. So that's and I have given the console password Cisco conpass. So if I write here the console password Cisco conpass. Okay, so now go to the
Actually, that question is what is difference between line console and BTY console?
at the line
I think
console. Basic difference is that line console, if you want to access your router directly by using any cable or by using your cable, but if you want to access your router, if you want to prohibited your router to access from outside or remotely, so you need to give this line BTY password. Do you understand or not? line VTI 04 and password Cisco VTI pass. And for 04, basically I am using that maximum 5 simultaneous virtual connection can be accepted by using the telnet. Okay, 5 virtual connection. 0 to 4 means that the device can allow 5 simultaneous virtual connection. That's why I have used line VTI 04. Okay, is it clear or not? What type of
So maybe
cable are connect all device in figure? So here these three is straight cable and this one is cross cable. Is it clear? These three is straight cable and this one the server to router is cross cable. I think you have you easily understand from this cable window. Okay, so this is the basic router configuration. I think you just okay.
Dear participant, we will share this text file within our course content after completing the session. Thank you.
Okay. So now how much? Okay, so this I have we just configured the basic router settings with command line interface in packet tracer. We just completed. Then we'll go to our next issue. Basically, routing basics. We have already some other issue. Basically, for path determination, this is the main task. Function of a router in a best path. Basically, there is 3 types of connection is there in a router: directly connected network, remote network, or no route determined. That means directly connected network. That means if the destination IP address belongs to a network that is directly connected to the router, the packet is forwarded out of the interface. We have already connected to PCA and PCB and server, or a directly connected network. And remote network, we will show you the remote network. Other part basically not directly. Other part of the network will be the direct network. And no route determined. If the destination IP address does not belong to connected network or is not the routing table, the packet is sent to gateway of the last resort. We have already discussed the gateway already. And best path, to determine the best path, this is also the router function. Basically determine the best path to destination network involves the evaluation of multiple paths and selecting the algorithm, which algorithm used to find out the shortest path to reach the network. So some of them use hop count and some of them use bandwidth, delay, or other issues. So basically these are all related to dynamic routing protocol. Basically RIP, OSPF, and IRP use hop count. OSPF use Cisco based cumulative bandwidth, and also EIGRP use bandwidth, delay, and load reliability. This is all metrics. These are related to, we'll discuss later, dynamic routing protocol. And another also the best with related to routing, basically load balancing. If there is a 2 connection, then which path will be used? So in that case, router will calculate the load balancing and then connected between PC1 to PCB. That means if both router has same paths, then how the router forward the packet from PC1 to PC2. So routing table contains a single destination of the network, but multiple exit interface. In that case, load balancing will be calculated and then routing will perform. And also that there is some administrative distance. This is another issue which is related to dynamic routing protocol, and also the related to static is connected directly. If any devices is connected to router directly, then the administrative distance is 0. And if static, then 1. If EIGRP, then others issue, there is a different kinds of administrative distance. Based on the administrative distance, router will take decision which will be the shortest path. So we'll discuss basically later. With basically all are related. These all issue are related to especially the dynamic routing protocol. And also the routing table. Basically this is a network R1, R2, and this is the directly connected network. This part is basically directly connected, this one directly connected, this one directly connected. But for R1 router, these 2 are basically remote networks. So do you understand or not? This is the remote network. So obtained from the active router interface are remote. These are remote networks connected to other routers that are learned from dynamic routing protocol or statically configured. But if you want to connect from this interface, that means directly connect interface to remotely 10.1.2.0 series, then you need to configure R1 router a static path, static routing table. So you need to configure it. So if you want to, because R1 don't know about this network, this 10.1.0 network and 10.1.2.0 network. In that case, you need to configure a routing table in R1 router. Similarly, R2 router, you need to configure the configure this LAN to R2 router as a static or different kinds of routing. And routing table source, we will show this one. Now, when I configure, just brief about this command, show running configuration. After configure the router R1, we will see what kind of information they will show. Basically, who will connect this one and what type of running configuration is this. And there is some issue L, C, S, D, O. Basically, L local, C directly connected, S static routing, D learned dynamically, and O OSPF or others issue. So we'll check it our practical part. And remote network routing entries, all are remote network entries. Basically, this type of information you can see that you must know how to interpret the content of IP version 4 and routing table. Basically, this is the 10.1.1.0. The figure of the left highlights this is the network. This is a routing table information. Here 10.1.1.0/24. What does it mean? That means here root source, basically how the root was learned. That is root source. That means D directly. Destination network, address of the remote network. What will be the destination network? Then administrative distance, trustworthiness of the root, the value of administrative distance, and metric value assigned to is the remote network. Lower the better. If metric value is lower, then it will be faster and better. Next hop, the IP version address of the next router to forward the packet. Where will be this packet will be forward, and route time stamp when I started this how much time has passed since the route has learned, and outgoing interface, exit interface to forward packet out of. So this is the information of a routing table. So you need to check it carefully. This type of question can come in evaluation in your assessment. This is directly connected. This all network are PC1, PC2, and also this node card. Basically, this is the empty table, empty routing table. There is no configuration. So after connecting all this one, you can see the which is directly connected. I have already discussed about router R1, which one directly connected. So if interface is up, and also you if you configure the serial interface, the gigabyte interface, this interface and gigabyte interface one with IP, then you can see the basically the who is now directly connected with this R1 router, and what type of signal they are passed. Directly connected routing table, this is another issue. C is connected, and example also. Okay. So if I show you, this is the I have already shown you in your slide that this is the topology we just few minutes ago we have discussed. So this LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3, LAN 4. So this is the R1 router, this is the R2 router. These two is connected, R1, R2 connected is DC cable, and all other connected is basically the straight cable. And all IP address I have already right here. So if I go to the router, so you can this one also want the password, I think. Okay, sorry, I need to go another one. Okay, sorry. So this is the another network. So here all network has already down, and we no configuration yet. So if you go to this router, So enable show IP route. Okay, so this is the empty table. You can see the defined condition information is show, but there is no information here. So if I want to configure it, suppose R1 router with this necessary information, with the interface AC, fast Ethernet, and also the others issue. So I have already okay. So I just want to rename this one. This is the R1 router. So I want to configure it, basically enable, then configure terminal. Host name will be R1. Fast Ethernet, this is fast Ethernet 00. That is description is link R1 to connect with that means PC1. That means LAN 1. This is the LAN 1. And IP address, basically this interface IP address is this is the 172.16.3.0. So IP address on 3.1. This will be the router interface IP 255.0. No shutdown command and then exit. Then you need to go to the serial interface 2. I need to configure this one. This interface belongs to 172.16.2.0 network. So this interface will be the .1. That means 172.16.2.1 and 255.2.0 and no shutdown command and exit. So this is the two interface is connected to this router. So I just go to my router. So you need to exit and just paste the router. Okay. So do you understand or not? So you can check this one. So now this fast Ethernet is up, but this interface is down, is still down. That's why not connected yet. So R1 interface, I just configure it. Do you understand? Is there any confusion? Okay, so this is the router 1. Then I need to configure the router 2. So we can see this. This R1 router is connected to R1. Sorry, R2 router is connected to R1. R2 router is connected to R3, and R2 router is connected to this network. So here 3 network: 172.16.2.0. 192.168.1.0 and another one is 172.16.1.0. 3 network is connected to this router. So for R1, so enable host name interface fast Ethernet, who is fast Ethernet 00. Okay, sorry. So this one, that basically this one connected to fast Ethernet 00. So that integer, interface fast Ethernet 00. Description adjust R1 route to LAN 2. This is LAN 2. IP address 172.16.1.1. This is this router interface, and the as usual subnet mask. No shutdown, exit. So again, integer serial 2, which is this one, this interface. What is IP address? 172.16.2.2. So IP address description R2 to R1, basically 2.2 and also 255.250. No shutdown and exit. And then serial 3 interface, we want to configure it. So this network belongs to 192.168.1.0/24. So this IP address, because .1 is here and .2 is here. So serial interface, so 192.168.1.2 and this one. So this is the basically router 2 configuration. Just interface, we can interface configure by using this configuration. So we need to go to the here, and also so already the user executable mode. So I just paste it. So just wait it. So do you understand or not? So I can just see the configuration. You need to exit, show IP route. So you can see this IP route, just 2 network is connected. Sorry, router. So 172.16.1.0, 172.16.2.0 is connected. Okay, any other issue here? So I need to go to the configure tab. So this one serial interface 3. So this one also connected 192.168.1.0 and also this one. So this because this is still down, that's why not show here. Do you understand or not? This R2 router is connected board 3 network, but this interface is still down. R3 router interface is still down. So we need to configure it. Then we can see this directly connected interface. So I need to go to the router 3. So router 3, I just explain you. So in router 3, as usual, host name and fast Ethernet, that means fast Ethernet connected is here. And this network is 192.168.2.1 is connected here. And fast Ethernet configuration, this is serial Ethernet, just two connection here, serial 2/ among this interface IP is 192.168.1.1. So 1.1, so we can configure it. This is R3. Oh, sorry, go to command line. Okay. So do you understand or not? So this way I just up my all interface.
Port.
Is there any confusion?
The question about serial port, why they are using serial port?
Where? Okay. So I am using here serial port. You can configure it. You can configure other cable, no problem. But needs to, because it's, you can use cross cable also. Okay, so in my router configuration, you can see in physical interface, I just put serial interface and fast Ethernet, and also the I think the fast Ethernet serial and fast 0, and all are for fast Ethernet also serial interface. I just use the serial interface. So you can connect through optical fiber. Previously, campus network design, all we are using optical fiber network. I think optical cable. You can use also gigabit copper gigabit or fiber gigabit Ethernet. So it depends on how you want to configure your router, or how you want to that means how much user. It depends. Actually, for network planning, you need to initially which type of router you need to configure, or which type of port you need to use. It depends. Okay, but nowadays most of the router basically SAP port now are using the SAP or other issue. So for high speed Ethernet. So for fast Ethernet, I think you can see the serial interface, how much speed you can get. If you need gigabit Ethernet, so gigabit speed, then what type of port you need to use. So basically depends on you. Okay. Every type of. So here DC cable is used for serial port. You could not for serial port. I think the straight cable here, straight cable, what type of port you can configure it or not. Okay. So
Sir, in serial cable, there is a clock rate issue, and there is two type of cable, DC and DT. Can you explain a little bit about that?
okay. Sorry. Basically, DC provides a physical connection to a network and forwards traffic. DC. Okay. And DT connects to a network through a DC device. Typically, DT device is connected to a DC device. And with the DC cable, this side you click first will be the DC, second will be the DT. So, sir, collect the question. Actually, I will, otherwise I could not finish. collect
What
all
is the
question. I will
question?
answer on it.
What was the question, Faisal? I actually couldn't find. Sir, please you continue. If there is any question, I will give the answer or after finishing the lecture.
Okay, so show IP route. Sorry. So this is the R1 information. These two network is connected. So we can see now R3 who is connected now. Sorry, exit. So these three is connected now, and R2 has two connected now. So this so my overall configuration is up, but there is no routing information still yet. So we need to configure the static or dynamic what type of routing we want to configure it. So in that case, I just go to my slide. Basically, now we need to know about the routing protocol and others issue. Basically, routing protocol, a set of defined. Basically, routing protocol means set of rules or something. But routing protocol is a set of defined rules used by the routers to communicate between source and destination. So source and destination, what type of communication will be happen? That's defined by the rules is a routing protocol. So they do not move the information to the source destination, but only update the routing table that contains the information. This is the basic issue. And network router protocol helps to specify where routers communicate with each other. It allows the network to select routes between the two nodes and a computer network. So that's why we need the routing protocol. Basically, there are two types of routing protocol: static and dynamic. So static routing means basically a router learns about the remote networks in two ways: manually and dynamically. Okay. So statically, that means two types of routing: static and dynamically. So here two network, another type of network, R1, R2, or we can check it through here. We can check it through here, R1, R2, and R3, three network here, three router here. So how do you understand the this PC with PC1? How this connected? So if you check PC1 to PC2, this is failed. There is no connection here. There is no routing here. But you can check here the PC1 to this one. This one successful. There is a connection. But router to router also has connection. But this router to router also have connection. But router R1 to R2, there is no connection. So in this case, you need to configure it. Either it by static route or either it or dynamically. Two types of routing basically. We have already configured the all directly connected interface are configured and added to the routing table. Already R1 table we show that who is connected, R2 and R3 all are connected. So added to the routing table. Now we need to configure it static, dynamic, how it implemented. So static means manually configured, and they define an explicit path between two networking devices like R1 and R2. So unlike dynamic routing protocol, basically static routes are not automatically updated and must be manually reconfigured if the network topology changes. That's the issue. So network administrator need to which topology changes and which new topology is added. So if any changes or any new network administrator need to manually configure the every router. So, but there is some issue. The benefits of using static routes include improved security and resource efficiency. There is some issue. In dynamic and routing, there is some difference also. Static routing basically increases the network size, but dynamic routing configuration complexity generally independent of the network size, but increases the network size complexity increases. The static routing topology automatically adapts, but static there is some administrator intervention required. That means network administrator need to configure it. Scaling, it's easy, simple and complex technology suitable, but static suitable for only simple technology topology. Security less, more secure, and CPU memory like bandwidth all are uses. but no extra CPU resources needed. But route depends on current topology. Route destination is always the same. Route destination always the same. Predictability. So this is the basic issue between dynamic and static routing. So different kinds of issue or different kinds of event when happened, then you need to use basically routing table, static route. Smaller networks that are not expected to grow, that's why you need to the static route routing. Then another issue there, that means the static route application connect to specific network, connect to stub router, summarize routing table, create backup route in case the primary route link fails. That we need a routing table in this case, in this issue. And also there are some types of static routing. One is standard static, that means directly R2. Here R1 router, R2 is another network. So R2 configured with static route to reach the stub network 172.16.3.0/0. So this network for R2 we need to standard static route. So we need to configure it. We will configure it. The packet tracer topology, we will configure it. And default static route, basically when no option, default route match all packets and in used when a packet does not match the specific route in the routing table. In that case, you need to configure the default static route. And floating route when two networks, that means this is one connection, private one connection, this is the ISP provider interconnection connection. If any network fails, suppose this one fails, so we need to floating type static route. This one also needed for static route configuration. And for configure static route, we need to use this command: router IP route network address subnet mask, then IP address or exit interface. So router configure, so IP route command, then you need to put the network address, the destination address, subnet mask of this network address, and IP address or exit interface you need to put. Or next hop, basically IP address or exit interface, or next we need to put here. That means exit interface or distance. So if we configure this one, so this is all the related to this topology, So if we go to directly to this router, suppose now I want to configure the R1 router. So in that case, how this PC3 is will connect the PC1? What will be the way? Okay, so in that case, what will need to configure in R1 statically? So if I want to configure static routing in R1, suppose I want to configure it. Okay, so R1 router is static route. So you need to configure that, configure the routing. Basically, all network R1 router is connected to this network. 170, sorry, this one directly connected. 172.116.2.0 is directly connected, but this network cannot. So this network, that means IP route, your destination address, that destination network was 172.16.1.0. You need to put here, and you need to then added the subnet mask of this network, and also how this what is the exit interface IP address. So R1 will be can only connect with this network 172.16.1.0 through the .2, that means 172.16.2.0 interface. Do you understand or not? This is the static routing configuration command. So this will be the static routing command. So this is the for 172.16.1.0 network. For if I want to connect with R1 to this network, so 172.168.1.0. So I need to put the network, which network I address, and also the IP address, and also the exit interface, or IP route 192.168.2.0. I want to connect this network also. So I need to connect this network also. So I need to statically configure this IP route, and also the network, and also the IP address, and also this one. So this way I can configure the static route. So we can now configure it. So directly go to the R1 router. Okay, exit interface. Now paste it, and also can check what is it okay or not. So I can exit now and show IP route. So can you see here? So statically, the 172.16.1.0 is statically connected, and see this one, these two are connected, and 192.168.1.0 and 192.168.2.0 is connected. So do you understand? Via 172.16.2.0 interface. So you can put here the interface ID. I am using here the IP address, or you can use here serial interface 220. You can also put here. This way you can configure the static routing of R1. So now can check what happened from here to here. Okay, this one is still not configured, just configured here. Show IP route. So this is the interface basically. Okay. So another command I can use. So IP route. So you need to use check another one, static, which is static route. So you can directly see the static routing. That means 172.16.1.0, and this two is statically connected. This is the R1 routing table or static router. So I need to configure the R3 also. So R3 can understand. So if this network is connected to this network, so now I need to configure the R3 network. So for R3 configuration, so this is the static routing R3 configuration. You can check it. So this is the R3. So we need to configure it 172.16.10 also. This one also 172.16.2.0 also, and also this one 172.16. 2.0 also. So configure terminal static. Sorry, this one not. So I just paste this one and exit. Show IP route static. So you can see this static configuration. Also, you can check this router and go to the configure window. You can check, you can put here also. Okay, do you understand or not? So this is the basically in routing configuration tab. You can check the routing information here. So now I can check what the issue. So this was successful. So because this one has problem, so we can ping desktop. We can go to trace root. What is the problem? Trace RT. So we can go to 192.168.2.0. 192.168.2.10. Okay, 172.16.3.1 stop. That means here is stop. So we need to configure also this router too. Do you understand or not? Because router R1 is configured, R3 is configured, but R2 is still not configured. So we need to configure R2 also. So for R2, basically one is directly connected, and we need to know this one directly connected, this one directly connected. So this routing table all are here in R2, but this network and this network is still not still unknown to R2. So that's why we need to configure static command line interface. Then go to here. Then exit. Show IP route static. So this is connected. So now let's see what the I think this is the okay. Now can check again. So do you understand or not? Is it okay now? So can you check the trace route 170 two. So this my host IP is 3.10. Okay, this actually sorry, my host IP is 172.16.3.10, but host my destination address is 192.60.2.10. Okay, so so this is the first hop 172.16.3.0 3.1. This is the first network IP. Then 172.16.2.2. So this interface, this is the router interface or gateway. After that, this from this gateway, then next hop is 172.16.2.2, this IP. Then 192.168.1.1 from this IP. Then I found the 192.168.2.10. Do you understand or not? The static routing is configured both R1, R2, and R3. Now we can access from here to here. So we can check from PC, from PC1 to PC this one successful. Also we can check from here to here successful. Also we can check from here to here. Do you have any question, Orpita? Yes.
Sir,
R1 to R3 showing failed. Abdur Rahman. Okay, so static routing, basically, I have shown you the administrative distance. So I think for static routing, administrative distance is 1. So if you configure static, that means static routing, then it will be faster. Static routing will be faster. So is there any, but static routing is only applicable for a small network. For large network, you could not configure it. Okay, because network administration you need to manually configure all over the router, then you can access. Okay, so do you understand or not? This is basically static routing configuration. Okay,
used to shortest path.
Yes.
Sir, which protocol is used to find shortest path?
So here basically we are using the static route. Okay, so you can see the administrative distance table, or I think this one, the administrative distance table, that means connected 0. So if your PC is directly connected to a router, this is the shortest path. Okay, so if two router is connected, then if statically connected, then administrative distance is 1. EIGRP 5. It depends basically. If you multiple type of that means the routing is configured, then statically will be the that means the fastly working. But for large network, static will not configure. Then in that case, you need to use OSPF or BGP or other type of protocol, routing protocol. Okay, any other question? So
Okay.
Which protocol is used to find the shortest path? This was the question. Basically here I have used only the static routing protocol. Okay, so in that case static will be the fastest. Okay, and shortest path will be based on I think the different kinds of routing protocol find the shortest path based on different kinds of metrics. So if suppose RIP protocol, it's find the shortest path through the hop. Okay, how many hop? So maximum 15 hop can be connected in RIP protocol. Okay, so in that case RIP now obsolete. So after that using another type of protocol.
Sorry for interrupting. Already 5:15. You may proceed the schedule topic. You will have to configure another configuration about dynamic routing like RIP version 2. So please proceed it, and answer question session will be answered.
Or Urpita, you can collect the all question. I will answer one by one, and up to into the middle of the exam. Okay. So this is the configuration of static route. So do you have any confusion in static routing configuration? Okay, so another type of routing you can also configure. Basically the in routing default routing. So I think the default routing already discussed. So different kinds, I think you will study this slide. I am not going to slide because just few minutes have. Default static, basically this is the basic configuration. Router config IP route all IP address all 0 and subnet mask 0. Then any kind of that means default route is used when no other routes in the routing table match with the destination address. In that case, no IP address, no network address. So any kind of routing it can happen. So that's why sometimes we need to default static route is commonly used when connecting an edge router to a service provider network. That means only single connection. Stub router, a router with only upstream neighbor router. In that case, use the default routing. So I am just configuring the default routing. Command line, exit interface. Okay. So for default routing, configure terminal. I think just here to here. So and next interface, you need to use the IP route all 0, mask 0, and the next interface. Okay, 172.16.2.0. So you can configure it. Default configure, default routing. So now if you show, I show IP route. So you can see now gateway of last resort is this one to network this one. So if you configure this one, no this one, then there is also a connection. So this is the default routing connection. So now there is the two type of routing protocol. One is default routing, default static routing, and also the specific static routing. This is also the issue. So you can also configure the R2 and R3 also. So now I want to show, I just drop this all configuration. How can you drop this all configuration? So just save as, I will share this one to you. RIP. So I want to configure it RIP. So I just reset it. Sorry. I just disable this static routing. So I just remove it. And also default routing, I just remove. Then I just remove this routing also, default routing, and this one. So configure static. So you can also no IP route. Similarly, no IP route, thus network address, and similar way, just IP route. This is for routing configuration static, and also you can use the no IP route. Then it will be removed from your network configuration. Okay, and also the R3 also remove, static remove, and R2 also the remove. Okay, so default static, I just show you default static. So I just configured this one also. And dynamic routing, just brief about function of dynamic routing protocol. Basic function is to dynamically share information between routers and automatically update routing table when topology changes and determine the best path to destination. Basically, best path, shortest path, all related to basically dynamic routing. So if large network, for a small network, we can just configure the static routing. So there is not so much issue. Okay, so for dynamic routing, there is an issue. So this is the basically best path. And router all time update R1, R2, and R3 all time update one another if any changes. After 30 seconds, RIP will announce, and 90 seconds another protocol will announce that is there any changes or not. And dynamic routing protocol purpose is basically discover remote networks, maintain up-to-date routing information, choosing the best path to destination networks, ability to find a new best path if the current path is disable or fail. So this is also the purpose of a routing protocol. And components of routing protocol of a dynamic routing protocol, two types, basically algorithm and routing protocol message. So dynamic routing protocol, basically routing protocol algorithms are used for facilitating routing information and best path determination. Are on the other hand, routing protocol messages are for discovering neighbors and exchange of routing information. These two are basically components of a routing protocol. And the advantage, basically suitable in all topology where multiple routers are required, are generally independent of the network size and automatically adapt topology to reroute traffic if possible. Our disadvantage basically can be more complex to implement, less secure, route depends on the current topology, and requires additional CPU, RAM, link bandwidth. This all dependent. This is the classification of dynamic routing protocol. Basically, two types: IGP, EGP. IGP basically interior gateway protocol, and BGP, EGP basically exterior gateway protocol. And IGP depends on the distance vector routing protocol, distance vector algorithm, and link state routing algorithm, IGP. On the other hand, EGP path vector routing algorithm works. And RIP1 and RIP2 basically distance vector routing algorithm, and IGRP extended interior gateway routing protocol and extended interior routing protocol are basically distance vector routing protocol algorithm related working phase. And link state routing protocol basically OS open shortest path first, and ISS intermediate system to intermediate system, and the BGP basically path vector. So here you can see that IGP and BGP basically autonomous system internally. RIP, IGRP, AIGRP, OSPF, and ISS all are working inside in a autonomous system. That means the inside domain. But if we want to connect to different kinds of ISP provider, then BGP protocol, BGP routing protocol will work. So this is another an autonomous system to the 200. This is the automated system 100. But this router all are configured through this interior gateway routing protocol. But BGP only used these two autonomous system. Want to connect this to one autonomous system. That means BGP basically want to connect two ISP provider. And also there is some comparison. I think the interior RIP, IGRP, and OSPF, and exterior BGP version 4 basically. And there is some issue basically metric is used for dynamic routing protocol. The metric is a value used by the routing protocol to determine the which routes are better than others. Basically, metrics, different kinds of metrics is available for different kinds of routing protocol: bandwidth, cost, delay, hop count, load, reliability. So since I am discussing just a little bit about the RIP, so hop count is basically RIP is working on hop count, and hop count versus bandwidth. So 56 kbps and T1 router, there is some issue. So RIP chooses shortest path based on hop count. I think you have got the answer. RIP working one way, but OSPF choose shortest path based on bandwidth. So defines metrics, different kinds of algorithm using for find the shortest path. And routing protocol metrics is RIP, hop count, IGRP, AIGRP, bandwidth, delay, load, and reliability. All are related to IGRP and AIGRP. And ISS, OSPF basically cost and bandwidth. This is Cisco implementation. Cisco developed this algorithm. And load balancing also another issue. This is the ability of a router to distribute packets among multiple same cost path. Multiple to the same cost. If you have multiple same cost, then this one is using. So purpose basically administrative distance routing basically calculated used to determine the best path. So purpose of a metric to calculate the metric to find out the best path, and also numeric that is the particular route. This is the routing RIP routing protocol. Basic issue is that RIP working on hop. This is one hop. So router 1 to route 4. This is one hop. R5 2 hop. This is R3 3 hop. But this is the router 2 hop. So RIP will working from this route 2, not this route, not this route 1 and route 3. And RIP maximally connected 15 router. That means 16 router, 15 hop. So you need to remember it. For RIP configuration, basically we need to go to the configure terminal. Then we need to write the router RIP, and then we need to add all network address and no subnet mask or others. Basically, this is classful address. Verify RIP. We can show IP protocol. We can verify it. So if I just configure this R1 to RIP, so exit. So I just configured the RIP. So okay. So RIP, just a few minutes. Just configure this RIP. You need to add all network connected to R1 router. That means this network, and this network. This sorry. Sorry. So 172.16.3 is the LAN one. 172.16.2 is another one, and also another one. If I connect these two, then another one. So I need to skip this one. So I need to configure this network and this network. So just configure it. So exit, you need to paste and just configure exit, and show IP route. So you can see, show IP protocol. Protocols. So you can see this is IP protocol configured in RIP, this is for RIP, and our routing for networks 170.16.00. So you can see this routing. So I can configure also this routing to So routing to if I routed router RIP to, I need to take from this here and paste here. So alt configuration. So if you exit from this here, you need to put end. So I can go directly from here. So show IP protocols. So you can also see this RIP version. You can also see, and also you need to configure the router command prompt in exit, and R3 also configured. So that's 3 configuration. Now we can check is there any connection or not. So successful. Can you see this one, PC1 to PC? This one connection successful. Do you understand or not? This way you can configure the RIP protocol. Okay. So RIP protocol and RIP version 2, just write version 2. That's all, nothing else. So you can see my slide since already at 5.27. Show IP protocol, RIP version 2. I think so. Just write here. You can see. You can write router RIP. I just write router RIP. So you need to write the version 2. That's all. So you can configure it RIP 2 version. So I think this is the end of this session. Do you have any question? You can note down in question answer box. I will answer one by one. Okay. So I think Faisal, you can
Thank you,
the
sir.
link.
Thank you, sir, for your nice lectures. Basically, this is a practical-based session for this region. Sir will need a few minutes more than our estimated time. So I think, Faisal, you can share the assessment link, and I would like to request all of the participants to do this session in your own home, so that you can familiar or habituate with this configuration. Hopefully it will be more clearer than virtual session. You must have to practice it by own self.
Actually,
So yes, sir.
Chinmay, actually there is another lecture, totally dynamic routing protocol, which will be conducted by Nozrul Islam. So I think dynamic routing. So then after join the dynamic routing protocol session, course 7, you will know more about the shortest path and other issues. Okay.
Yes. If a participant participate all the courses sequentially, and all have to practice by ownself in their own laptop, I hope they will most experienced with this networking courses, and also clearer than virtual session. So if you have any questions, then you may drop it in our question answer session. We'll answer it one by one. And I think Faisal will share the assessment session already shared. You may participate in assessment session.